Well, good people, it is finally the day, something that you've all been asking for. But so far we have reviewed 21 cases on the channel for 2018, but this might be the case of the year. We'll see. Now, some of you may call me a Phanteks fanboy, but who doesn't get excited about their flagship enclosure? Let's unbox.
Oh man, what a pleasure seeing the X.
Check this out, a thank you note and a little accessory pouch. Oh. Wow. So inside I received the Mini ITX upgrade kit. It is optional, you have to buy it separately, and looks like some hard drive caddies. Well, the waiting for this case is no more. Let's check it out right after this. The new Enermax Lick Fusion is their first addressable RGB all-in-one cooler with a standard 240mm rad and absolutely beautiful RGB ring illumination on the fans and the pump to highlight that unique flow indicator through the transparent top. Check out the Lick Fusion down below. So this one's gonna be a good one. Let's begin. So Phanteks to me has always delivered that competitive price point, which they're kind of known for, and the EVOLV X launches at $199, which may push the boundaries of case features in this price bracket and really highlight the shortfalls of many cases in this price territory of like $150 to $200 price point, because this thing is absolutely loaded with features. Now, design-wise, it's a familiar structure, unmistakably an EVOLV enclosure. It's available in black, gray, and silver. I have the silver one here. It's got an aluminum exterior, which looks fantastic and has that good mix between clean lines and curvature, and to the touch it feels awesome, and it's completely refined, no sharp edges anywhere. The glass is perfect, so don't have to worry about like cutting yourself open when handling any of the panels, which is a good thing because we have easy access for that interior frame by removing all the panels, and it's certainly something that you appreciate after the assembly is complete, because trust me, many cases in a similar price point do not deliver that frustration-free experience like the EVOLV X does. So the main physical changes now all revolve around airflow. This means larger spacing on the front panel and deeper side cutouts. This was an airflow choking point on the original, so now it is 3x larger. The top panel is now higher with much larger ventilation strips on the sides, minimizing the rebalance factor for exhaust and allowing that airflow to exit. And I only wish that we saw that ventilation pattern somewhere else on the case for cohesion purposes, because it's only at the top. It'll be cool for it to kind of like span on the interior somewhere so that you can tell it's not just like an add-on later on, but kind of like a thought that ties into the overall design. Now, the side panels put so many other glass mounts to shame because they swivel to open, are removable, have an appropriate blackout perimeter to hide the frame underneath, and complement the shape of the front element, and can even be secured at the front with 2 thumb screws during transport. Furthermore, the rubber around the panels help to seal the interior for better air pressure and actually block the noise, which is especially noticeable with the GPU. The only thing to be aware of is the tilt of the empty enclosure if one of the side panels is removed and you open the other one, but this doesn't really happen if the system is assembled. The I/O is hidden behind this panel. We have a Gen 2 Type-C port on here with a pretty long cable, along with a button for RGB control for cycling and color, because that is actually another big addition to the X. The lighting is now a bigger part of its core. You can see it highlights the area behind the front panel with a really soft spill, and it continues on the inside with that thin strip kind of dividing the main chamber from the power supply shroud. It's a tasteful integration with several presets and colors available, and of course, since they're all addressable LEDs, a 3-pin addressable connector is included for your motherboard to allow that full RGB sync. And the ambience, as you can see, of this lighting looks stunning. It's not too harsh, it's not like right in your face and blinding you. It just looks awesome. Now, the LED strips are actually attached behind the front panel with this 3-prong connector on it, so you don't need to handle any wiring when removing it because it is completely wireless. Now, behind the front panel is a dust filter with mounting rails for triple 120 or 140 mm fans with their respective radiators, and you can see the panel is spaced out for better airflow. So in total, we have 3 140 mm fans included with high static pressure at 1200 RPM. The top panel is secured with with 2 thumb screws at the back, and here we get a rail system, much like we see at the front, for triple 120s or dual 140mm fans with multiple cable tie points available. We also have a fill port closer to the front where your reservoir might be located, and the bracket is also fully removable for easier installation from the top. There's also another fill port located at the front to accommodate your water cooling loop. I do like that we have 3 vertical PCI slots available to space out your GPU away from the side panel, and this optional 220mm riser cable is available for $30, which is optional. And at the very top is our optional mini ITX motherboard mount that would complement that additional vertical GPU mount. So this ITX motherboard tray is an optional $20 accessory. It attaches directly to the top of the case and has its own power button, which will be accessible from the back, and we'll explore this entire dual system compatibility inside the EVOLV X when the Revolt X power supply comes out. That is a single power supply that has dual 8 pins, dual 24 pins, so you can use one power supply to power 2 systems, so stay tuned for that. As for included accessories, I love the toolbox. It's always super handy. The instructions manual is definitely one of the best. I recommend you take a look at it. The adhesive Phanteks logo is here because aside from the Phanteks text on the power supply shroud, it is nowhere else on the case, which I kind of appreciate. We even get a GPU anti-sag bracket that actually works, and a magnetic top cover that you can install at the front or the back to block the recirculation of air if you're mounting dual 120s or 140mm fans up top. For storage, we get 4 drive caddies. They're recommended to be installed in pairs, either in the main chamber for a total of 6 or 4 in the bottom chamber. You just have to keep in mind the PSU clearance if these are installed at the bottom. And you also have to kind of deal with the somewhat unclean area around these brackets in the main chamber because of all the exposed cutouts underneath it. And so let's go inside, and you can see the original interior and the 4 plastic covers near the front. They have some mobility, from left and right, to reveal the cutouts underneath with the intention to close them and cover the exiting cables. Now the thing is, it doesn't work that well in practice because the spacing from the frame is not that deep, and a large portion of that cable cutout is actually revealed. And I kind of wish that we had rubber grommets here as well. The power supply cutout is quite thin, giving the impression of a less tall power supply shroud, which is quite nice. And the front section is already open with 95mm of clearance for radiator installation. I also like the sliding door for PCI cables that can open based on the thickness of your cables, and just a really easy way to secure whatever's coming out of it. And overall, I would say this is a Fred approved interior. It's not too roomy. The space is utilized well for a variety of systems, but the biggest design change is actually behind the motherboard tray, and I love this direction to simplify cable management work in total. So here we get 2 swivel brackets that hide the common area where the cables are normally passed through, and since the right panel is also glass, it will basically camouflage any mess that might be stuck there. But you are actually well equipped for dual channels for cables with strong Velcro straps and this bottom paneling hiding anything that in that power supply chamber. And these panels also have secondary function for storage, housing 3 SSDs each. The mounting is simple, and these brackets have deeper spacing where the SATA cables are located, so that's smart, and are actually totally removable for convenience. I also like how we have a discrete fan controller up top with 3 3-pin and 4 4-pin connectors with either SATA power or PWM control via your motherboard. And this hub is in the perfect location to deal with any cable management for fans installed at the front, the top, or the rear. Now for my system build, I decided to go with something simple because I'm waiting for that Revolt X power supply to do the dual system configuration. So for this standard build, absolutely no issues handling the large CPU tower. All the cables exiting on the interior, aside from those covers, not exactly fully covering up the cable area, and therefore they kind of look misaligned. And so that is kind of like my only point of critique for the interior, but otherwise it's flawless. And it's actually the back section that's more exciting because these SSD doors kind of change the game how you approach cleaning up your entire build. It's super user-friendly dealing with those dual channels for cables, but then you close up this area and you might as well just leave the glass panel off. It looks fantastic. I love this toolless approach, and my only point of advice is to push these SATA cables into the corner when closing the doors to avoid any uncomfortable bending. Now in my temperature testing, dealing with the default fans, the front panel and the dust filter do impede airflow. It's not a significant barrier, only a 3 and a 5 degrees Celsius delta for the CPU and GPU respectively, and I will be installing the new Noctua fans later on for my actual system to give me a little bit more airflow and also more fans in general. And so the EVOLV X is just such a nice refresh and a needed reminder for many other case brands that refinement is key. The user experience with the EVOLV X is the definition of premium. And some might call me a Phanteks fanboy because I might not get as enthusiastic about other cases in this price point, but the attention to detail with the EVOLV X is highly appreciated and it definitely deserves the Hardware Canucks Damn Good Award. Treat your ears with the incredibly comfortable HD58X Jubilee headphones from Massdrop and Sennheiser, delivering sound expected from $500 headphones, but only for $150, making it one of the best price to performance skins available. Check out and join the drop down below. Alright guys, so stay tuned for my dual system configuration, 8700K, 8600K, dual GPUs, hopefully those RTX NVIDIA cards by then, dual coolers, and one power supply. Should be fun. Now, if the $200 price point was in your budget, would you choose something like this for your next build? Why or not? Let me know in the comments below. Most likely, this is going to be the tower of 2018 because it's just so feature rich. And I would say like the price point of $199 is expensive, but so competitive and like really beats out anything in this price point from Corsair, Cooler Master, NZXT. Yeah. Alright guys, I'm Dimitri, thanks so much for watching, make sure to check out this other relevant content, subscribe to our new boot sequence channel, and we'll see you in the next video.